Good evening, you all. Good evening. Hello, hello, hello. I am Abalori from 1720, excuse me, 1720 Finances, and I am coming to you live today. You guys, it will be a time change. I'm usually on my other channel from 7 to 7:30. So here I will be starting here at 7:30. During the week, however, I'm gonna put out a little reminder that we will be starting I'm going to try to start at 7. I think I should be able to start at 7. I was thinking about pushing it back to 8, but I don't want to push it back too far, and then we probably won't get done until 9. So I'm going to still try to stick to the 7-ish, 7:15-ish time, but I will put out a little blurb reminding you guys for the time, especially if I have to change it. But good evening, you all. Thank you for joining me for day 3 of the Financial Gratitude Challenge. And it is a combination of the gratitude challenge that I'm doing on my other channel. And I kind of combine both because in the midst of all circumstances, it is best practice for us to give thanks in all that we have, all that we have received, and even in the midst of our circumstances, our storms, our challenges, even still finding time to give thanks to God for just the learning lessons that we get, or the things that the wisdom that we gain by going through our challenges. And so today we are coming through Philippians 4, verse 6 through 7. And the reason why we're talking about this topic tonight is financial anxiety. Sorry, you guys. It is one of the most plaguing, debilitating things that a person can go through when they are so debt burdened, when they are burdened down with so many debts that they feel like that they can't get out of debt, or they will never recover, or they have some type of financial ruin that leaves them bankrupt without any financial means. And so one of the things, while most of us aspire to make money and to live comfortable, some of us, want to have a couple million in a bank and kind of just live what we consider debt free, or free to live that life where we're not so weighed down with money problems. There are a lot of us who, unfortunately, we found ourselves acquiring debt, whether it's debt from a home purchase, debt from student loans, debt from divorce, separation, whatever the case may be, or you just find yourself in debts with car loans, credit card loans. Either way, it is debt. And for many of us, we don't like the feeling of being in debt. We don't like the feeling of knowing that every single month I have to put out more money oftentimes than what I am getting in. If I'm only getting in, $4,000 a month, but I have to put out 6,000 a month, then that is definitely a stressor. And what we know is that stressing definitely is a main factor in anxiety. Anxiety oftentimes, and not, as I explained on my other channel, is caused by stressors. Anxiety is caused by things that we feel as though is beyond our control, or that we feel as though we have no control over. So when we feel like we are losing control, or we never had control, or we can't control the outcome of this particular event or this particular situation, is when the anxiety happens. When we are faced with, okay, I have to pay my mortgage, I have to pay my rent, but I also have to put food on the table. This bill is due, the bill collectors are calling, the loan is due. I can't control the outcome of, I am only getting in $4,000 a month, but I have to put out 6,000. And then in the midst of me putting out 6,000, interest is steadily accruing. So it's feeling like I can never catch up. So this is causing me great angst, great anxiety. And I'm just kind of using that as an example of how anxiety plays us. It's because we can't determine the outcome. We can't manipulate the situation so that it works out in our favor. Now, as I explained on my other channel, there are some things in our life that cause us anxiety because it's the choices that we have made, or the choices that we are making. And once we realize that these choices that we are making isn't best for us, it's working against us, it's causing more harm than good, then yes, in some instances we can absolutely alter and manipulate certain things. And certain things could be our job. Sometimes you can, if your job is causing you anxiety or stress, sometimes it may be better for you to take a step back, take a step down. I know plenty of people who left high paying positions, took a step back because it was too much and they needed to regain their sanity. If it's family and friends that are causing you anxiety and angst, remove yourself, remove them out of your life. If it's causing you, if it's things that we know we can actually tangibly manipulate that's causing us anxiety, then it's time for us to make the change. Now, when it comes to things that we absolutely cannot alter because we don't have control over that, this is where we have to surrender to God. This is where we have to say, you know what, God, I may be anxious, I may be worried, but I trust you and I thank you. I trust you and I thank you. And Philippians 4 verses 6-7 says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and minds through Jesus Christ. Now, I know that it's very hard to think about. Well, you say, Abalori, I'm in the midst of a financial crisis. I mean, if I don't pay these bills, then where am I going to live? Um, if I don't keep this particular job, if I step down, then I'm going to lose pay, and this pay is what's sustaining me right now. So what am I to do? First and foremost, the first thing you have to do is you have to surrender and give it to God. God was the one that made it possible for you to get that job. Yes, you probably did the legwork, you did the interview, you went to school, got the credentials, or you were positioned amongst the right people who gave you that opportunity. Either way, we have to surrender that God makes a lot of the things that we have possible. He makes all of it possible, if you want to be frank. So while he made it possible for you to get that job that pays you, X amount of dollars a year and is sustaining you, but at the same time, this job is also causing you anxiety. So you have anxiety on top of anxiety. You have anxiety because you have mountains of debt. You have anxiety because this job is stressing you out, but yet you have to keep it because it is your bread and butter. I know personally for me as a nurse, I found myself in that situation about a year ago. To be honest, I was in a position where I made great money, but with the detriment of my mental health, at the detriment of it was doing more harm than good for me to stay there. I don't care that I was one of the ones making, well over six figures. It sustained me. It was able to give me the things that I need. But at the end of the day, it did not bring me peace, comfort, and joy because I was a slave to that job, because I felt like I needed that job in order to maintain my living. And when I sat back and really realized that the source of my sadness, my anger, and I didn't have anxiety or anything like that, but but it could have easily led to anxiety. It was the job. So I chose to let the job go. Now, as many of you know, as a nurse, we tend to make great money. We don't have to necessarily be, nurse managers and in those CEO type positions. You can be a nurse who works the floor and make absolute great money. Some nurses love working on the floor. They love putting in that extra overtime because they like how their paychecks look. But for some of us, it is the peace of mind. So I chose to step back and remove myself from that six-figure position. And now I am in control of how I work, when I work. I'm still able to pay my bills. I do have clients. I actually have several PRN jobs that I can just always call and say, hey, I'm going to work today. Or I'll pick up a few hours this week. So I'm always right now thanking God that I'm in a position where If I need to take off a few days, I can do that. If I want to be off, I can do that. And I'm still able to pay my bills. I'm still able to maintain. And yes, I've gone through some financial challenges, but however, my financial challenges did not come from me necessarily losing my job. It came from going through a divorce and being left with paying debts, and then also trying to maintain a home, because before all of this, I lived in a house with two other adults. So everything was pretty much always split three ways, or someone took this bill or that. So what I'm trying to say in the end was, yes, I could have let my financial issues from the last year weigh me down. But then in the last couple of months, I started giving God more thanks, more gratitude, because the more that I was able to pay off bills, the more that I was able to see my debts lower, I felt like, instead of me complaining, let me say thank you more. Let me say thank you that I am able to work an 8-hour shift, get paid directly after, and pay a bill off like that, or pay on a bill. Or I can take that pay as soon as I clock out and leave, and I have gas money, I have grocery money, I have the money that I need right then and there. I don't have to dig into my savings. I don't have to pull from my emergency fund. So when I started shifting and going into more thankfulness, my sadness lowered, my frustration, and I was more frustrated than anything. My frustration lowered. Again, I wasn't a person that dealt with anxiety like that. So I can only imagine what it feels like to probably have it, because with anxiety, it's always that feeling of doom and gloom. It's over your head no matter what. Doom and gloom it's just a looming cloud over your head no matter what. And you can't shake the feeling. You can't run away from it. You can't back away from it. It's like no matter where you go, it's there. So I can't imagine having that failing all the time. But when it comes to our finances, I absolutely understand what it's like to be frustrated all the time. I actually understand what it feels like to be sad all the time, because you're the one that's left with handling all of the finances, and it's not in a good way. So I absolutely understand that. So when it comes to Philippians 4, it is basically tell us to just stop being anxious. Give it to God in prayer and supplication, make your requests known, and give thanks. And I would dare to say, give thanks first. Don't let the anxiousness go. Give it to Him and let Him work out your financial issues. Let Him give you that financial blessing. Oftentimes, it is because He's waiting for us to let go. He's waiting for us to say thank you before He brings down that financial blessing. Oftentimes, He is waiting for us to say, you know what, God, I have truly given it to you. And whatever the outcome is going to be with my finances, I want to thank you. And then boom, the next day or the next week or 2 weeks from there, you end up with money in your bank account. You got a refund from somewhere. Somebody owed you money. You overpaid something, and this money ends up in your account. And it's money that you're like, wow, I can put this into my savings, or I can apply this to my mortgage, my rent. I can go buy groceries. I can get gas. I can get tires that I need. A lot of times it is just because He's simply waiting for us to say thank you. So in the midst of that anxiety, that worry, that downtrodden feeling, just simply say thank you. Sometimes anxiousness is more about us than it is about anything else. It's more about us not being able to control than it is about anything else. Yes, in hindsight, we're learning about our finances. We're learning we can control our spending. We can control our debts. We don't have to live in debt. That is an anxiety that we can pretty much easily fix. We just now know that once we get out of debt, we know the feeling of being in debt. So it should prompt us down the line to stay out of debt. thereby releasing some of this anxiousness that we all have surrounding debt. So I say this to say that while we're thinking about our debts and we're giving thanks for it, I want to leave you with 3 centering questions tonight around this scripture. The first question is, how does thankfulness help you combat your financial anxiety? How does it help you with your financial anxiety? The second question is, how can you shift from your financial worries to God's faithfulness today? What is it going to take for you to let go of your worries about your finances and to be faithful and focus on God? God is giving us a command. He's telling us not to be anxious. Focus on Him. Don't be anxious. Give it to Him and He's going to solve it. How can we shift our mind and our hearts to focus more on God? I know it's a lot easier said than done. And I will tell you that within the last few months, I have made that shift. And I can tell you now, I feel 110% better about the shift that I made. I can tell you that I feel so much better about no longer griping and complaining. Lord, when are you going to bless me? Lord, when are you going to end this financial difficulty? When am I going to come out this? When am I going to be able to live debt free? When am I going to see a balance decrease in my debts? And I shifted that one day when I woke up and just said, you know what? It's about to be November. November is usually the season where we start giving thanks and being thankful for all we had. Let me go ahead and shift my mind. I started doing this probably 4 or 5 days before this challenge, and I can tell you it has made a difference in how I feel about just life and overall, and just about my finances. Yes, I still have a significant ways to go, but I will tell you, I've also made a significant debt. I have made a significant, what is the word? A significant, oh, my laptop's about to die, you guys. A significant, you know, I've made it. So, and with that being said, because my laptop is about to get out, you guys, the last action stuff for tonight, you guys, over on YouTube is, whenever you feel anxious today, pause and thank God for one specific blessing. Repeat this throughout the day. So YouTube, I am going to cut you off here because my laptop is about to die, but thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys for day 4. And if you need the challenge guide, please feel free to send me a message and I will get it out to you. But just know, any anxiousness, any worrying, any defeatist attitude that you may feel, definitely read over Phillippians 4:6-7. Give it to God in prayer. Let Him shield you for anxiety, and He is definitely going to work it out for you. So with that being said, you guys, I am logging off on Instagram as well. You all have a blessed Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow for day 4 of the Gratitude Challenge. Talk to you later.